Welcome to the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast, in association with Symco Training. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett. Now, some of you probably already know me as Skippy. I would start by saying thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. Today it's my pleasure to welcome Colin McAllister, the Group Training and Development Manager for John Clark Motor Group, and Darren Bedford, the Sales Director for Symco Training. Now, the reason why we're having three of us on this, Colin and myself, we did a podcast for the people who listen to the show, I think about 6 months ago, which was ideas in the sales process, tips and ideas, and it just went down really, really well. And we've had lots of people saying, hey, can you do the same thing in the after sales department, the service and the parts department? So this podcast is one that you're going to want to share with your service advisors, your service managers, people in the dealer group. So firstly, leaves me to say, welcome back, Colin.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Dan. How are you doing? All good?
And welcome back again, Darren.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Colin. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
So, Colin, I want to start off with, sir, after the pandemic, we know that people are coming back into service departments now on droves. Okay, we can't get technicians. Service departments seem to be so busy at the moment. Can I ask you, in the John Clark Motor Group, what are you focusing on in the after sales department?
A big part of the challenge in after sales just now is with the financial squeeze, people delaying their servicing. So they're putting their servicing off and they're only really coming in if they need diagnostics or they've got a fault or they've got a light on. So the manufacturers that are clever and have a light on that says you need a service, and we get that business in. But we're really having to fight and put our case forward to get people in. So things like service plans, pushing the service plans, building that retention is really important to us because that customer's already paid for their service. So the financial squeeze is not an issue. And they're price protected. So if there's any prices going up, then they're getting them at the previous price agreed when they signed up for the service plan. So we're pushing a lot of service plans, working on retention. And then we're also working a lot on our VHC process. So when the vehicle's in, because people have been putting off their servicing, there's a wee bit more needing done to that car to keep it roadworthy, safe and legal. So we're having to recommend there, and we're making sure that we communicate to a customer in a way that they understand they need it and they accept it. So the technicians and the service advisors are using the same language. The technicians in the video and the service advisors in the call. So the customer's getting that same consistent message.
Yeah, there's something there that I just want to run past Darren. I noticed that there's more and more people are just doing diagnosis work and damage to the vehicles and all of that there. Maybe not the service work, okay? In fact, I was in a dealership last week and the lead time's 2 weeks, okay? That's good news, isn't it? Or
No, not really. Remember the good old days when we had 3 hours on a service, then probably it was good days where we had 7-week lead times and things. You just need to be really careful. The way I look at it now is that the modern dealership is always going to get the problem cars. You know, if you've got a customer with an issue, it's going to come back to you. If the dealership down the road sold one of your vehicles and they've got a problem, it's going to come back to you. If, a car supermarket sold one of your cars, it's going to come back to you because this is where the expertise lies. Now the issue with that is that work is always going to take your most experienced guy. It's also going to take him a long time potentially to find the issue. Sometimes that's covered by warranty, which probably means he's going to get a lot less in terms of a labour rate. So you have this weird sort of scenario where your most experienced guy is actually likely to be bringing you in smaller amounts of hours and the lowest income. Now we can offer that by balancing it up by doing the service work where we can be quick and we can have the efficiencies and as Colin was alluding to there with the vehicle health check. But if you don't have that, if you just dealt only with the issues that came in, your labour rate would have to be sky high to cope with the cost of the infrastructure that we have. So the real danger here when your lead time starts to go up is the people that will disappear are the people who need a service, because if you can't do the service for me within my window, my timescale, there's somebody out there that will. That's really the issue about it. You're going to keep getting that diagnostic work because that's driven by customer issues. So
Again, Colin, you're saying that people are putting off the servicing. Is it like call centres calling, chasing people in, getting them in? Are you focusing your teams on getting the service work?
Yeah, so our contact centre in Dalgety Bay, we have 21 people there who are doing the service and MOT retention work, so they're phoning, but they're coming up against lead times as Darren's describing. You know, one of the challenges on diagnostic work, if I can just add to what Darren was saying, is frequently we don't communicate what we've done very well when it comes to diagnostic work. So we give the customer a no fault found, absolute hate of mine. What we don't tell the customer is, listen, we've eliminated these possibilities from the process. We've checked this, we've updated this software, we've renewed this piece, we've started this, we've had a contribution from the manufacturer, and we've done this. The fault seems to have cleared itself. It's a bit like rebooting the computer up. But would you do me a favour and keep an eye on that for the next couple of weeks? If you communicate that way, then the customer's not begrudging. You know, oh, they've done nothing, they couldn't find a fault, they're totally useless. And it's strange. I've got a funny story for you. I was at our Volkswagen business in Aberdeen, and the customer was at the coffee machine, as I frequently do. I go to the coffee machine and I'm there with my cup, and I always say to the customers, listen, I'm at the coffee machine, does anyone want a coffee while I'm here? And the guy said, if you can get the coffee machine to work, son, I'll have a coffee. Get it to work, don't you worry. So I looked at it, it says waste container full, right? So I takes the bottom tray off and I pulls out the container and I empties the coffee into the bin, puts everything back together. I says, right, that's the machine working. Would you like a coffee? And he says, oh, I'll have a latte. He says, oh, you know how to fix the machine? I says, damn tootin', I know how to fix this machine. Do you know how much it is for a service plan for this? For a 2-year service plan for this coffee machine, 625 quid. If I had to call the guy out from Falkirk to Aberdeen to get here, it's 185 quid call out fee just for him to come and look at my machine. And the guy went, right. He went, oh, I think I owe that girl over there an apology. I says, why is that? He says, well, they've just charged me a £99 diagnostic fee and I went a bit crazy about it. Right. So now this dealership, we've got, it's a glass partition between the workshop and the customer waiting area. So I looked through and I said, is that your car there on the second ramp? And he says, yeah. I says, let me tell you, the guy that's working on that is a guy called Gary Arthur. And he holds the Volkswagen Gold pin. There's only 5 of them in Europe. You know, this guy's the most talented Volkswagen technician there is. That's the guy who's looking after your vehicle. You're damn tooting the guy that did the coffee machine hasn't had anywhere near the amount of training the Gary's had.
Yeah, isn't it so true? We don't give the credibility to our technicians, do we?
Yep.
I absolutely love it. And Colin, it was either Darren or Colin, one of you guys, I heard the story or stole the story from, the FedEx story. Who
yeah, the FedEx story.
I
think you stole it from Darren because I stole it from you.
Fair enough then. So anyway, I love this story about FedEx, okay? The man called, one of you guys will tell me his name. I think it was John, whoever started FedEx. It'll come to us in a second. And also, I wonder how these stories have been embellished in time and changed. But anyway, the legend has it, the guy that started Federal Express, he was in the Korean or Vietnam War, something like that. He's in logistics, and he decided that hub and spoke distribution was so much more efficient than straight line distribution. So the legend has it, he goes and builds in Memphis, there's all singing, all dancing, distribution hub where the packages come in, it's overnight deliveries, it goes brilliantly. But the way I heard it, definitely from one of you guys, he didn't buy a service plan because he just started, okay? And it all goes wrong 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, okay? He's in there, Fred Smith, that's the man's name. I knew it coming. And he's kicking off, he's got his local engineers saying, what's wrong, what's here, all that. 3 o'clock in the morning, the legend has it, he calls the engineer that installed it, okay? The engineer asks a few qualifying questions, pulls out a flat-bladed screwdriver, walks over to the control panel, tightens up a screw 3/4 of the turn tighter, and the whole lot works. And Fred Smith says, brilliant, you saved our bomb, that's sensational. Give me your invoice, I'll get you paid straight away. So of course the legend is, he said, yeah, there you go, there's an invoice for $10,000. Yeah, again, Fred Smith, he's a smart character. He doesn't kick off. He said, oh, can you itemise that for me? I love that. He said, yeah, sure, I can do that. Scribbles on the invoice and hands it back to him. Fred Smith says, yeah, you know what, you're right. Of course, what do you write on the invoice? For turning one screw, $1. For knowing which screw to turn, $9,999. And I just love that story. I'm almost certain I stole that from Colin, but it's our technicians. Our technicians are, you're not selling them for an hour I hear service advisors all the time out, do you know what our labour rate is? It's extortionate. It's like, no. Do you know, for your technician at Volkswagen dealership, Colin, 5 technicians at his level, how many years did it take him to get there? To be that Master Tech and Plus?
He's over 20 years working on vehicles. You know, I'm taking on 36 apprentices, 31st of July, to get those apprentices from the 31st of July to qualified level 3 light vehicle technician. So just a service tech, it's 40 grand.
That's exactly right, Colin. All of that investment in the individuals, but that doesn't take into consideration the investment in the specialist tools, the equipment, and all that stuff that we do. One of the things I often use is your mobile phone. How many times you wake up in the morning and you've got software updates to take during the course of a year? If you added that lot up, that's effectively the package that your customer gets when they come in, and we run those software updates. We check it's running the most up-to-date software. And even that point on its own is probably one of the most important, because nobody else can offer that same level of service for your vehicle other than your manufacturer-approved site.
Okay, this is for both of you then. The service manager sitting there listening to say, yeah, it's all right for you guys, sit in that lovely studio there, but I can't get technicians. Technicians seem so hard to get. I'm hearing people that are going to Spain to try and get technicians there. What advice do you have for them? Where do we find techs? Can we actually get the service work in? Can we look at the upsell work if we can't get the techs to do it? So I don't know who's going to take that one, but where are we getting techs from, guys?
We are struggling to get techs without any doubt whatsoever. We've done sign-on bonuses, so we're £2.5 grand sign-on bonus. We've always given all of our colleagues £1,000 for finding a technician. So they get about £500 at the end of the first month, £500 at the end of the probationary period, and we find that those are the ones that stick, because you're not, your technician isn't going to put Mad Malky Fraser, who could have put a nut in a monkey's mouth, into his workshop and try and work with him. He's going to want a really good, sound, solid tech that he can trust, and he knows the quality of his work, and we get a more harmonious workforce. But the future's got to be investing in apprentices and keeping that in apprenticeships going. I've got 113 currently, 22 just about to graduate, and then obviously we've got 36 coming in, and I don't think that's enough. I think we should have been nearer 55, because we need these technicians of the future working on different systems, working with LiDAR and radar, and they're not going to be working with oils and things. That's what they're going to be working with. And the average technician population through the industry is 52 years of age.
Wow, 52. 52, yeah.
So we need to get that down, and the only way to do it is to invest. We've tried, and I don't know if any other of the podcast listeners have tried this. We've tried to go through, and find ex-military people. We've had, when we found guys that are ex-REME, for example, they've been really good, but it's finding a volume of them. We're not finding enough of those service leavers to fill the gap, and there's a training plan that we need to put to place, and it's about 12 to 15 months to get them to a level 3, but they've got a lot of the core basic skills, and that's been terrific. We have another fast track program we've been doing for people that are car enthusiasts, and putting them through a level 3, working with Bosch. But again, it's a slow burn. It's a 18-month to 2-year program. So like an adult apprenticeship, although there's no funding in Scotland for that, but it gets a technician there that wants to be somebody in later life that said, you know what, I've always wanted to work with cars. So they've got the mindset, they've got the attitude they want to work with there, and we can train them the skills, and we can get them the qualifications, and we can give them a career, which they enjoy. And I've got 5 guys just now on those programs.
This brings me on to then something. I was in a service advisor I was speaking to maybe a month ago. He said, but Simon, you're talking about red and amber work, you're talking about the vehicle health checks and all the things we need to do, but the downside is we can't do it. The workshop's rammed because there's not a lot of technicians out there. We just can't do it. Darren, I want to get your view on there. Are we not just too busy for any of this red and amber work, any of the upsell work there?
It's a good question, because we can be. If we're not booking to the skill level that we have, the availability of those technicians that we have, the time periods that the vehicles are coming into us, there's still a lot of dealerships that will take a vehicle in the morning and give it back in the afternoon. There's a lot of dealerships now that have progressed to more of an appointment-based system, which the discipline about an appointment-based system is you have to account for the total hours that are required on that job. You have to be a lot more precise about how long that job's going to be with you. So it puts in some pretty good disciplines in place. But I mean, all of the DMS systems now have the facility to load in that way, but it's still moving that needle and getting people to move in that needle of, it's not just booking work, it's booking the level of work that you need to sustain that dealership. And that's again
that right work mix, Dan, that's the key thing. It's the mix between diagnostic, between retail, that it's getting that mix to the skill level. That means that we've got the right person working on the right vehicle. That's when we have the time to get in the additional recommended work that we're going to talk to the customer about. If we don't do that, we're not loading at the skill level. We are just busy fools.
Yeah. Sorry, the other thing I was going to say there, cutting across you a little bit there, Colin, but when somebody rebooks that work, they don't necessarily take into consideration the impact that's there. Colin alluded to it earlier with the golden hour. The importance of a golden hour of getting that vehicle on the ramps and getting the work identified is the efficiencies go through the roof of your team members. If you lose that efficiency, you're wasting that time of that technician reworking that car. So he's doing his service, he doesn't get any of the upsell work, but he notifies, but the authority for that notification comes through 2 or 3 hours later. Well, that car's boxed up and back outside. Yeah. So the only options open are, does he bring it back in again today? Might be an option. Or do we rebook it? If we rebook it, it's a much smaller job down the track where it's not going to have any more work to do on it when it comes back in. So again, we're handling so many cars in a day, the function becomes handling those cars rather than actually controlling the process by a smooth plan. I don't know how Colin may have an angle on this, but I believe preconditioning of the job cards. So somebody sitting there with an experienced eye who looks over those job cards before they come in and looks for the opportunities, the potential things like air conditioning, brake fluid changes, all those items that could do two things really: make you more efficient, but also keep the vehicle on the ramps that bit longer as well, which helps with the golden hour angle. So again, that's a key area where I would look. With most of these things, it comes down to planning your day rather than the day taking control of you.
Yeah, that golden hour, Colin, I just got to get your views on this, because too often you see any sort of VHC is dealt with far too late. They can't get through to the customer for an hour, 2 days. How often have both you heard that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the customer says, yeah, great, I'll get the tyres done and get the brake fluid done, get the air conditioning sorted, and I'll be there in an hour or half an hour. How do you deal with that, Colin?
So the golden hour, the way we work it is everyone's got 15 minutes. So the vehicle comes in to the workshop, you've got 15 minutes for the technician to produce the VHC. That then goes to parts, they've got 15 minutes to price it and value it and get it through to the team on the front. So the front, they're going to get that VHC video out to the customer with the pricing. We've got auto-authorisation on our VHC process as well, so the customer can auto-authorise. We tell them that at the point of booking, we tell them that at the point of drop-off. So we really want to push that auto-authorisation. The technicians, we're trying our best to get the technicians to mention that in the video as well. That's been a relatively new thing, so we've just finished training on that. So they're trying to get that. You can actually auto-authorise from this video. So we want that out within 15 minutes, so that within 45 minutes, the customer's got a priced quote for the additional work. They've got a video which clearly displays the reasons they need that additional work, or the fact that there's a time bind out or a manufacturer recommended repair or replacement on there. So that's what we get. I know you're going to ask me, how many people actually auto-authorise? You're going to ask that question. Yeah. And that varies from brand, but the average across the group is 7%. Weirdly, Volvo is the highest authorisation rate. It's up at 18%.
Colin, can I ask a question there? With 7%, is that 7% that respond within a suitable time to be able to be considered within that golden hour? Or is that 7% in total?
It's 7% in total, but we have, so the figures, and I've got them over there so I can quote them exactly, so I'm not giving you any rubbish. So within 10 minutes of receiving the video, just under 45% are authorised. Then 10 to 30 minutes, there's a further 25%. Yeah. Okay. So 70% are within that period of 20 minutes. from receipt. So it's within that, just within that golden hour. So an hour and 5 if you want to be pernickety.
That really
That's
is
when it's still on the ramp, and we've not boxed it up and put it outside, so it's still a profitable job to do those brake pads. We're not bringing them in on Saturday and earning £3.50 and having to wash the car a second time and having another opportunity where that car might get damaged whilst on our site.
Yep.
I think I'd have to say that's testimony to get in life what you focus on, because you know that would far outstrip the normal statistics that are out there for work approved, work accepted in the first place, and then also accepted within the period that it could actually influence and the efficiencies. We're talking about that golden hour. You know, in an average dealership, that's minuscule. And that's really, you know, it depends. If you focus on that and your system works around it, then that's great. But what's happened, I've found quite a lot with dealerships, is where the service advisor is almost going, oh, I can see if they've watched that video, so let me send it. Let me wait 10 or 15 minutes and see if they have a look at it. And if they don't have a look at it, maybe pick up the phone. Well, that 10 or 15 minutes is more time that's eating in. And, you know, I look at it this way in the golden hour. If your tech jumps on that vehicle and does the initial walk around of the vehicle health check and gets that back through to you within 15 minutes, he's doing a pretty good job. Okay. Yep. If it goes to the parts department and they price that job and they get that completed within 15 minutes, that's a pretty good job as well. And then if it lands on the service advisor's desk and he gets back to them or she gets back to them within 15 minutes, they're doing a pretty good job. But that's 45 minutes of your hour when we're talking about the golden hour there. Yep. And that's one car. You multiply that by the 30 or 40 that you may have in a day, it now becomes slightly harder to manage. There was one that came out there that just reminded me of how things have changed as well, in terms of just a real good top tip that sort of sprung to mind. Years ago, and I still see this go on, people used to say, we've got your email address as this, we've got your phone number as this, Simon, we'll be in touch, you know, we'll give you a call. What they didn't, or what we're sort of pushing to do now, is actually, rather than confirm the details that you hold on file, is actually to say, you know, I need to get hold of you today. What's the best method to contact you? Because I might have got you on your mobile last time, but it doesn't mean to say today I'm going to be able to get you on your mobile. It might be a text. It might be somebody else that authorises the work. But it's that single vision at morning drop-off of, I need to get hold of you. How do I do it? Even that will actually push the ability for you to get to more people within that golden period of time.
Well, absolutely, and the methodology for you. So we can offer the customer that you can listen. I can text you, and you can text me back if that's convenient. Yeah, and we split the contact up as well, Darren. And I think you train this too, where it's what's the best number or method I can get hold of you, and what's the best email that the technician can send you that vehicle health check video to. Yeah. So they know it's a technician that's going to send the video through on there, and it just adds value to the whole experience. You know, I hate it when the service advisor says, "Yeah, I'll get one of the boys to look at it." You know, listen, I drive quite a nice car. Boys look at my car for nothing at traffic lights. I'm not paying 186 quid an hour for a boy to look at my car. You know, but yeah, so that's separating out what's the best email address that a technician can send you a video to. Yeah. And keep an eye out for that. And texting the customer once the vehicle's on the ramp. That's your vehicle on the ramp. It's been worked on by Hayden. Keep an eye on your email for his video. And so that's just a wee update to the customer. And they're going, oh, it's a bit like the Amazon, you know, your gloves are 8 stops away. It's, you know, so you're then going, oh, I'm going to track where my gloves are. It's the same kind of idea. It's just trying to get that Amazon experience into service.
Yeah, listen, thanks a lot for that. There's obviously so much we need to talk about. So next week, let's just talk about how someone can go back and put this into their dealership. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, symcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.